All right, so we're excited to start with our AFK event to discuss how the AFK goes, what things we could help you with. We have
Good,
myself, Dr. Hafez
good,
from
Christian.
Scholars Dental. We have Dr. Flavia with us as well, an instructor, and someone that's recently passed as well. So,
Hi, everyone. Yes, I
and we
have.
also have Williams with us.
I just cleared my
Mm-hmm.
AFK, guys.
So she could even help you with a lot of tips, more recent tips, right, about the AFK process.
Yeah.
Um, for starting.
Thank you. Thank you. It is something to celebrate for like months, right?
Yep, and she's on her way with ACJ. You can see the
Thank
ACJ book
you.
she's starting with.
Yes. Yes. I can't wait to start. We're going to start the ACJ in a couple weeks.
All right.
Excited.
And we also have Williams helping us today too. If there's anything in the chat, he might, put in some links. You saw him already. Um, there he is. There. Thank you, Williams. Yeah. So, and if you call Scholars Dental and you hear that pleasant voice, it's usually Williams on the. Okay. So we get started. Should we ask some questions maybe? Who's here?
Yeah.
We should maybe launch a little survey or something like that. But who's actually here ready to take the upcoming AFK exam in Feb? Okay, let's see how many.
It's on me. Omar thinks he might be.
So they want to. The intention, as long as the intention is there, right? And then the signing up. Did you guys see the release?
Yeah.
The 8 dates for the open registration dates that released? Here, let's make a quick form.
September 25th. That's right.
Um,
Chippy says, I just processed my NDEB equivalency process, and I don't know whether I can enroll for the February or not. Yeah. So you just started, just uploaded your documents? Right. Yeah, it takes around 18 to 20 weeks for them to approve your documents if you have everything ready for the exam. So you should be ready to
I sent
register
in a quick
after
form.
that.
If you guys don't mind, you just have to sign in, and then you could fill it up. Just 3 questions, yes and no, just to kind of get an idea of our audience today, to see where you guys are at. If you guys don't mind, please fill it up. So we expect around 50 to 60 responses, hopefully. So the opening registration date is September. Yes. Until when? Until the deadline, but which is usually in that cycle is in December. And I'll show you that. I'll show everybody this during the presentation as well.
Oh, is it
Sorry?
December? I thought it was January, the deadline. But you have the new dates,
here,
right?
so
So probably.
sure, you could go
Can
ahead.
I answer this question? Malik, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. So if you get your license through the direct pathway, so just taking the exams, you're only allowed to practice in Canada. But if you go through the university pathway, then you're allowed to work in the US as well. You're welcome.
Please fill up the form if you haven't, so we can just get started quickly. Then we could register
Anyone
your
else from
attendance as
Brazil
well.
here? I always get excited when there's people
There's
from
a
Brazil.
little gift at the end for everyone that attended today, so so make sure to fill up the form and confirm your attendance. It's basically a coupon to one of our published courses for basic science, and you can get that for free at the end. We'll give you a coupon for getting the course for free, but we just want to make sure you can confirm your attendance as well. Okay, so the form is there. You want to make sure you get that. Just fill up the form. I'm going to get started then. It's 12:14, so I know you guys have so many questions. We're going to try to address those. First, we're going to go through the presentation. We'll try to make it quick. There's things we want to tell you first, just to make sure we deliver the message we want to deliver to help you. We think this stuff is important to know regarding the AFK. Then we could discuss any Q&A you have. Some of your questions may be related to the previous event we had last month, which was about the NDEB process in general. So there's a video recorded for that on YouTube. You could go check it out. So let me start sharing my screen, everyone, and we'll get started, okay? Let me make sure I got it. Alrighty. You guys see my screen? Clear? Okay, awesome.
I see it.
And just have some things here so I can see everything. The chat box. Participants. Okay, perfect. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so let's get started. The AFK orientation. This is August 2024. What is it, the AFK, and how to prepare for it? All right. So, as you all know, we're Scholars Dental. I'm Dr. Ahmed Hafez. I went through the NDEB process probably I was between 2012 and 2013. That's when I completed it. I've been teaching AFK since then. And in Scholars now, we have all the courses you need to get through the NDEB process. We provide a lot of value content on our YouTube channel. So if you have a lot of any questions that you might think of, you might find, most likely you'll find the answer to it on our YouTube. We do this event every year, twice a year. And if you want to ever go back to, watching, let's say we have a video about your finance, the way you could get your equivalency financed. The universities are switching to ADAT, things about ADAT. So whatever you have questions, you could go to our YouTube channel, search it up, and most likely you might find the answer to your question. So that's just there. If you haven't attended the NDEB orientation, so today is the AFK orientation, right? If you have questions about the process itself, we have two videos just from 2024 about the NDEB process itself. This one is the more recent one. So if you want to go to that one, that's the more, that's the one we recorded last month. But that explains the process. Okay. So today we're going to go into the AFK exam specifically into more details. And just a little review, you have the direct pathway, which is mainly taking, the exam. So you apply to the NDEB, get approved, do the AFK, ACJ, NDECC. And then at the end, you could do the virtual OSCE. And then you have the university pathway, which is, you might not have to apply to the NDEB, but If you're doing the AFK and ADAT, some universities are taking, well, 80% of universities are taking ADAT. There's still 2 that are taking AFK. So that's how the university pathway is. You still have to do an exam, and then you apply to the universities, and then you go through that university pathway. Okay. I have some videos about UFT and Western University specifically as well, if you want to watch those on YouTube. So let's talk about the AFK. One of our favorite things to talk about is the AFK. Right? So we started off mainly with teaching the AFK and specialize in the AFK. So the AFK structure and timeline, it's the assessment of fundamental knowledge, meaning that, you know, this is an ocean of knowledge. Like, they could bring any question from dentistry, okay? From all the specialties, all the there's like, how many books are there on the references? Like hundreds of books, right? So that's the tricky part.
150 books. Yeah, around 150
and
books.
You have it's a 200 question multiple choice. Okay, so MCQ, 200 questions. It'll be 100 questions in the first 2 hours. You get a 30 to 60 minute break, then 100 questions in the second 2 hours, right? It used to be 300 questions, but now in the recent years, they made it 200, right? I mean, Dr. Flavia, did you experience, you didn't have any experience with 300, right?
No, just the 200. In February, it was already 200,
overwhelmed
you
by
did
it?
300,
like,
right?
Did you feel overwhelmed by the 200, or was it kind of comfortable and smooth?
No, it was comfortable. After practicing in the mocks, I had so many mocks. It just felt like another mock.
300 does get tiring at the end, right? Like when it was 300 questions, it's like 6 hours. So imagine you're doing 6 hours.
It does. Yeah. Oh my god.
So when they reduced it to 200, I was telling people, "Wow, that's like awesome." And you know, sometimes in the community, you see there's some sort of always a negative side to things, right? Oh, 200, that means there's a more chance of us failing because there's less questions we could get wrong. I'm like, do you really want to think about it that way? Like, that doesn't help anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, you can think about it that way. Yeah. But there's always pros and cons.
So when does the AFK happen, right? So every year the AFK happens in Feb and August. So there's 2 AFK exams per year, one in Feb and one in August. Williams, do you mind? Sorry, I'm just going to click this just to make sure. Okay. Yeah, I got it. No worries. So there's 2 exams, one in Feb and one in August. Now the registration opening day, the day where they open the registration for that exam, for the Feb exam, it's usually in September or October. Okay, so they announce those dates, you know, a few months before the exam. And luckily, just before this event, like I checked, and they actually announced the upcoming registration dates. We'll inform you guys of those. For the August exam, it used to be April, but also they started doing it in March now. So that's the trend now, it feels like. Sometimes. So I relate that to the course start dates. So the courses start usually for the Feb exam in September, and for the August exam, the course starts in March, which gives you a 5 to 6 month course. Okay? And the deadline for registering for the exam usually is from, let's say for the Feb exam, from September to December. And for the August exam, it's from March to July. Okay, so this is general, right? We could go into more of specifics here. So I just want you guys to understand the timeline of things, right? So if you have the exam every Feb and every August, right? Look at it like that. Courses, okay, I'm going to put, you know, this is exam. Let's put exam here, exam here. Now course, you have in March and then in September. Okay. So if we look at it like that, March is the courses. So in March, you're studying, like you're aiming for the August exam, and in September, you're aiming for, you know, the Feb exam. Okay, which gives you 5 to 6 months. Of course, some people may need longer than that, so they might actually start in March for the Feb exam of next year, right? So we have different plans for different dental, like situations for dentists. Yeah.
Situations.
So that means the registration opening date will be also in March and September, right? So to register for the August exam, for the 2025 August exam, it's in March, and for the Feb 2025 exam, the registration also is in September. So during the same month of the course start. Okay, so let's look at specific dates now, just for the upcoming exams. So this is the general. If you don't know, start knowing the pattern of how the AFK works in a year. And here is the specifics for 2025. So the Feb exam in 2025 is Feb 1st, and the August exam is on the 11th, 2025. Okay, so it's always been that way, where for some reason the Feb exam is really early in the month, and the August exam is somewhere in the middle of the month. I don't know why it's like that, but the August exam right now, when was it? Like was it the 12th? The 13th, right? So
13th.
the current one was on the 13th. I just see that as a pattern. I like to look at patterns to see, like, okay, that means when you're done the course, in when you're preparing for the August, you might have a few more weeks to study actually for the August versus the Feb, right? In a way.
Yeah, exactly.
And the registration opening day for the next upcoming Feb exam is September 25th. So almost like in a month and a bit, right? We would have started the course by then, right? Our next batch, if you want to study with us, will be beginning of September. For the August exam of 2025, it will be in March. March 5th, right? So here's the deadline that's coming up. So December 17th, some of you were asking. So for the Feb exam, the deadline for registration is the 17th. Now, which date is more important here? The opening day or the deadline? Okay, so some of you may already know this, and for sure some of you don't know. You think, hey, you have all that time to register. Okay, when the registration opens on September 25th, check the NDEB. I think it's 10 a.m., right? It's been 10 a.m., so just in case they did change it. When it opens, everyone that's taking the AFK or wants to is sitting on their computers, waiting for that to happen, refreshing, and trying to register. And it's been a theme where the seats get booked right then, in that first hour.
Like within
and a lot of people have
within
trouble
an
getting
hour
in because of too much traffic on the website, and so be aware of that. You want to try to register on that date. Now, once that happens, usually, the it gets booked, and there's no more seats. But up to December 17, we do hear of many stories where seats do reopen because maybe someone withdraws from the exam, or they kind of or maybe the NDEB does something where they open more seats. Flavia, how was your experience with the registration date? Were you registering in September or March of last cycles? Was September?
So I would have.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
cycle
October actually. So that year it opened in October. Yeah. But I didn't have my NDEB application approved at the time, so I just watched everybody register. But I was actually aiming for the August exam, so I wasn't too bothered by that. But then I got approved in December, and I was able to find a seat in December. So I took the seat in Ottawa, and I went for the February exam.
Just to get that story straight, because I feel like people could relate more to like actual things that are happening, like instead of me just talking about it. So you took you started your preparation in September, is that correct? With us, but you
without having my NDEB.
Right? So you started in September and you were aiming for August. So that's a good example of someone aware.
August. So I wanted actually to.
Like you want to prepare so that you want to make sure you're ready.
Exactly. Because I had been away from dentistry for too long. So I felt like I would need a year for sure. So I had limited time to study. So I just felt like, okay, it's good to prepare for the August exam. But then I was feeling prepared. Like halfway through the course, I was like, maybe I'll just, if my application's approved, maybe I'll try. And then I did. And I found a seat. So it's possible to find seats. And it's possible to pass if you're dedicating yourself like during the course.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyways,
so you were planning for
yeah,
a year,
so
but
this is
and
what
then,
happened.
and you didn't even have your documentation for the September, right? So you couldn't register. The deadline was in December, and you got approved in December, right before the deadline for your
I
cycle.
think the
Possibly
deadline
for your,
was January because like it opened, like registration opened in
maybe it was a
October.
month later.
So I think the deadline was January. Yeah. But yeah, so I was able to find a seat and then I
Well, the key
registered in
here is at
December
least you didn't give up when you didn't find
for
a
the
seat.
exam.
So that's the important factor, is that some people,
No,
I
yeah.
find that some have a plan of, oh, let me get a seat first, then I'll start preparation, which is a problem. Where we tell them that you should,
Yeah.
if you're planning for the Feb exam, you should start a proper preparation and then just hope to get a seat, right? So that's what you did, and it worked out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So
yeah. Because that way you're not wasting any time.
exactly,
You're preparing. So
in
that's
like a
always good,
course
right?
cycle, like a month is a lot. 3 weeks is a lot of content. so if you're waiting until September
A
25,
lot. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of content gets.
Yeah. You could have studied a lot.
So
Yeah.
that's the deadlines, and the dates, the opening dates for the exams, the deadlines, and when our courses start for that exam. If you want to do a 5 to 6 month course, our essential, like the classic course that we have, we are also launching something new. We'll get to the hours a day, all that stuff. We'll talk about it just in a bit. So let's go through this cycle. So we have a new program launching, which is an 8 to 9 months course. It's the AFK Mastery course. And this one is for the August 2025 exam. So if you're not taking the Feb exam and you want to take the August, we said we have the 5 to 6 month course starts in March, but we actually have a new program launching, which is an 8 to 9 months course, which will start November 2024, and you'll be preparing for the August 2025 course. Okay, we sat down and planned what's the proper structure here, and I think even and what inspired us to do this is we find people that in 5 to 6 months, if they're working full time, they're very busy people. It's difficult for them to complete the program in 5 to 6 months. Some people could do it, Some people have they have the capability of finding the time. Their time management is awesome. Some people just have more time too. They're not very busy. But Dr. Flavia, what would you say about? I think you were telling me this is what you wanted to go for.
This, yes, I wish this existed.
You would have did.
Because it would just make me, it would have made, 100%. It would have made me more confident, like going to the exam, like knowing that because when I registered for the AFK course, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to complete the course because I had a toddler. My youngest daughter, she was 1.5 when I started the course. So it's busy. And I have 2 other kids. So 3 kids. And I thought I wouldn't be able to, complete the course in 6 months. I would have definitely taken the 8 to 9 months, just because it's also less stressful when you have more time to go through the modules. Like, I'm proof that it's possible to do it in 6 months with kids, with, responsibilities, work. But if you can do it in the least stressful way, I would recommend that because stress plays a super important role in your performance and everything. So I just wish this existed, but I'm glad that we're offering now because I think it'll help a lot of people.
In the classic course or the essential course, we have, each module, you have a week to complete it, which should be also enough. But for some people, it is tough. Like it's not everybody can do it that way. It's enough but if you're busy working full time, have responsibilities, we'll go over the type 1, type 2 training dentist situation. See, but if you're someone's very busy, you want 2 weeks for each module, right? And more, then you would want to go for the mastery, right? But I think a lot of people, because of their schedules, feel that doubt in the beginning that like, can I even do this? And is that something you could relate to?
Yeah.
Like,
Can I
where
even
can
do
you
the
even
course?
do this whole NDEB process? Is it possible?
100%. Yes, 100%. And a lot of people feel that way. Just not, sure if they can't find the time to dedicate for this.
Mm-hmm.
And how long is this going to take? How long am I going to have to find that time? And it is something that we consider, of course, and it has to be considered, right, when you're going through this process.
Sure.
Because even like with the 6 months course, I had to find at least, okay, I want to say 5 hours a day, every day. Like, so some people are not able to, find those hours or prioritize studying. So it's difficult.
And just
but
making that leap of
we're
faith
here
that
to
you
help.
want to even start the process is another thing in your way where it's like, should I even start? And I think you were able to overcome that and go
Exactly.
through it successfully, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was the hardest step, like to, decide to invest in a course and start it. Because I think what was stopping me was the fear from, not knowing if I was going to be able to complete it. And once I overcame that fear and I started, I saw that it was possible. Like, you just have to, manage your time and your emotions and, be focused, and it's possible to do it. And yeah, we have all the help, right, from the instructors, from the course itself. So it's
For sure.
it's doable. Once you start it, you would see that it's not that scary. You start feeling the like confidence again, right?
That's good to hear. No, it's definitely a nice feeling once you
Yeah.
overcome that, right? So
Yes.
let's talk about now the ADAT, how that timeline, because some people are considering the university pathway. So let's link the ADAT timeline with the AFK timeline. So you guys understood the AFK timeline. Now for the ADAT timeline, ADAT opens from March to August every year. Now you want to check the exact dates because it could be March 31st. So then like really March doesn't count, but it opens from March to August every year. That's when you can take the exam. It's not difficult to book. It's like a daily thing, I think. You just go and book it every day. It happens every day of the week, right? Or there's maybe specific dates, but it's not like complicated like AFK,
The ADAT.
right? So
Yeah. There are more
many
dates
dates
available,
available,
so it's easier. Yeah.
that's not an issue. Even getting for the ADAT, you'd have to go through the ADA to get your approval through that. Then PIN.
Then PIN.
The same. It's kind of similar to if you're taking the IMBDE in the U.S. because ADAT is a U.S. exam, even though the Canadian universities have decided to use ADAT instead of AFK, most of them. So with ADAT, think about it this way, since it happens from, so let's draw it back. So Feb is AFK exam, and then you have August is the AFK exam, right? So the way we design ADAT is it's a course that you could take added on to the AFK if you want to do both, right? But it's going to be just a supplemental course, so you don't have to redo everything, right? We like to be efficient with your time. So if you once you study AFK with us, let's say you're taking the September, which is the upcoming cycle, right? Course, right? And you took from September all the way to Feb, and you completed the AFK in Feb, right? Since ADAT, let's put that in there now. ADAT opens from March to August, we said, right? Here, this is where ADAT happens. So what we do is we launch our ADAT add-on course or supplemental course. It's 2 months in March and Feb, like this. So that you could take the ADAT exam between March and August, right? So the ideal AFK cycle, some of you may think, well, why do I need AFK if I want to do ADAT? Well, 80% of ADAT is AFK stuff. Clinical sciences. So ADAT is biostats, clinical sciences, and biomedical sciences, like what we call basic science, right? So There's some more emphasis on epidemiology and basic science, but the clinical science part, meaning like when you're talking about endo, perio, like the clinical sciences part, those are already studied in AFK. So for us, what we want to do for you is keep both options open. So you would take the AFK, let's say in September, AFK course, right? Once you finish the AFK and you take the exam in Feb, then you take the ADAT supplemental course where we focus on ADAT specific things. Then you take the ADAT exam in that same year between March and August. That's the most efficient way you could do this. Okay. Now, are there other ways? Yes. For example, if you take the March course, right? Let's say you take the March AFK course, then that's where you kind of break. You could do it, but it breaks the cycle for you where you could take ADAT, because by the time you're finished AFK, ADAT would have closed, right? So that means you'd have to take ADAT during your AFK course, which is not ideal because you're not finished the course yet to take the exam. Or you'd have to wait for next year's ADAT. Okay? So it's doable. It's just not, how I would say, the most efficient way. The sweet spot, if you want to do ADAT, is to take the September AFK. Then take the ADAT supplemental course or bridging course in Feb. Then take the ADAT exam between March and August.
It's like the most efficient
You're not
flow,
overstudying.
Right?
You're not double studying.
To get this done.
You're not
like
redoing
both
a
exams,
lot, right?
Yeah.
And you're not only you could take ADAT, you could probably take the IMBDE as well. You might as well while you're at it, right? Because you'll we have 100% passing rate in the IMBDE. For people that took our AFK course, all of them passed the IMBDE that did the IMBDE, right? You did the IMBDE as
Me
well,
included.
Right? Yeah. So if you want to go for all three, that's a strategy as well. So you could think of it,
and you could even get the ACJ later on the same year, right? If you do it this way, because like you could do the November ACJ.
November.
This way.
Yeah. So if you do our ACJ here in March, and then you get the repeat in September, then you could go for the November, right? Kind of thing. Is that what you're saying? Or do the ACJ starting?
No, not a repeat. No. ACJ starting September, August, end of August, September, and go for the November ACJ exam. So you would tackle 3 exams in 1 year, right?
Yes.
You could.
So it'll be AFK here, ADAT here, then ACJ here. Right? Yeah. Okay. So that's regarding how you would put ADAT into, and of course we have an AFK ADAT, combination. So if you want to register for that, you do get additional discounts if you commit to both from the start. So
we sent the link here.
William sent the link into
the links here.
The chat. Okay, so where is the AFK held? So it's in Prometric centers electronically. You go to a center, you do it on a computer. Centers in Canada. There's international centers in the US, in Australia, and New Zealand, right? It's also held still in paper and pencil format. I think only in Ontario and Quebec, and this is only in Canada. So, so you have 2 formats they're still launching: the paper-based format and then an electronic format. So the Prometric centers, if you want to get like, how does that work? It's usually like in an office building. They'll call you one by one. You go in. There's maybe 20 to 30 computers. On the actual electronic, on the computer, you could still mark questions for review. So if you're not sure of a question and its answer, you don't want to answer right there. People ask us this all the time. That's why we're bringing it up. Like, can I do this? Yes, you could mark a question for review to review it later. There is a navigator system that you could kind of go from, look for the question you mark for review. You could even highlight options as well. Right? Always check your updated strike through options if you don't want them. This is, I think, the one you experienced. Is there any stories, or how did it go for you when you did the Prometric?
Yes.
Was it smooth?
It was smooth, but we had just one little hiccup, which was the registration. They took a little longer than expected. So I was actually the last one to register.
When you say register, what does that mean?
And so people were like going in, showing my ID, having the biometric data collected, like
They do
fingerprints,
and
all of that,
Yeah.
fingerprints and metal
Okay.
screening, like to see if you have anything on you. So after all of that, you sit on your computer and you start the test. So some people, so that's the difference between the Prometric Center and the paper-based format, because in the paper-based, everybody's like registering earlier. It's way earlier. They ask people to be there earlier. And once everybody's registered, then they start the test, the exam. In the Prometric, as they're registering, people are going in and starting their
So in
exam like
Prometric,
at
everybody's
their own
starting
time. So
different time.
yeah,
In the paper base, it's
yes.
more
So
traditional,
some people
where
were
everybody
like,
starts at the same time. Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
everybody will start at the same time. So I was the last one to start, but thankfully I wasn't nervous about that. But I started at 9. So everybody, like some people were
Yeah.
starting at 8. I started mine at 9.
Wow. So
So
anyway, you
that's
still get the
one
same
thing that
time
can
though. Like
happen.
it doesn't affect you. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it won't affect your time. Everybody
Hmm.
has their own like timer. So same
Okay.
time for
So that's a
everything.
good thing to know about how this works. And it's a smaller room in the
Yeah, yeah,
Prometric in general, because in the paper based, it's a
yeah.
bigger kind of event. It's like a large room. There's many
Mm-hmm. Like
participants.
200, 300 people.
Do you want to talk about your onion story?
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
just
can. Yeah, so it's a small, oh, that was the other hiccup, just like something unpleasant
Mhm.
that happened. It's a smaller room and there was a really, really, really strong onion, like raw onion smell, like very strong. I later
Someone's
found out that there is a superstition that some people will wear like raw onions in their socks,
Mhm.
like for luck, for good luck. And also some people will do that too. Like if they have a fever, they will wear like
Mhm.
raw onions in their socks. So I'm pretty sure that happens because it was so strong and the whole time. So, in a small room that can affect you a little bit, but
But
thankfully,
you're about to do it anyway.
I was able to get past that, like ignore it. And yeah, but just
That could
little
mess.
things that
Yeah.
can happen in a
Some
smaller
participants
room.
from the latest exam, like that happened just a few days ago, they said that
Mm,
everybody, like in their centers,
mm.
like for example, everybody had some tech issues with the computer, right? So, yeah, except them, they were happy that okay, it
Oh,
didn't happen
that's
with me, but a
right.
lot of
Yeah.
people had tech issues where
Oh,
the
good for
computer
them.
itself could crash. So, just know that there's pros and cons. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
the electronic way,
Yeah.
it's nice because you don't have
For
to like
both. Yeah.
you just click on things and scratch out. But there's
Transfer the
always some
answers.
sort of problem, right?
Yeah.
So just know about that. You can't really control that, so don't
Mm-hmm.
overthink it. You know. Basically, what we
Yeah.
say is pick the one you get. Whatever you could get, pick it. To go for whatever you find.
Yes.
As long as I would say I would prioritize the city
Yeah.
over the format. Like as long as I'm comfortable. If I find one, let's say I'm in
Mm-hmm.
Toronto, I want one in Toronto. I'll go for Toronto. Whatever it is, I'll grab it. Whether it's Prometric or paper based. If I have to choose one,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a different story. I'll figure that
Right.
out and put my
If you
priorities,
get to
right?
choose. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here's the AFK content that they put on the NDEB website, like what the blueprint looks like. 24% is this, 10% is that. I find this a little bit like, okay, sometimes something that could be considered surgery, maybe in basic science. Sometimes basic science could be in surgery. Sometimes, even in surgery, they have things about
Mm-hmm.
anesthesia and pharmacology, right? And patient management. So it kind of all
Yeah.
intertwines. It's I don't think you could follow it and like there's no benefit of following it necessarily like this. It's just you want to study the main concepts of all the topics.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what you want to do anyway, right?
Yeah.
Um, so how
Mm-hmm.
do you prepare for the AFK? That's probably what people want to know. Um, so some people will try to self-study, which I would say is, you could just like difficult, very
It's
difficult, right?
difficult. Yeah. It's basically that emoji.
So, um, and if you are doing that, your resources could be, um, someone saying, "Can you show us the previous slide?" This one, it's on the NDB website. If you want to find it, you can. Nothing important. So try self-study. If you try self-study, you might want to go to release questions, which are some are outdated and there's no answers that are given by the NDEB for these questions. So then you're also taking that. It's really a hectic project for you to go through those and figure out what's going on, right? Right, the right
Figure
answer.
out
Learn
the
from
right
them.
answers. Yeah.
Review materials and books. Like if you are doing that, you know, Dental Decks Part 2 or Mosby 2, I would say Dental Decks Part 2 really is where you'd end up going. And articles on the NDB website. It's quite a project to try this and very risky because you only have 3 attempts. And if you lose those attempts, I mean, it just seems like you don't want to find out if there's a way back from that. Okay, let's put it that way. Because they're not, that's it.
Yeah.
It's game over. Yes, please.
Can I just add something? You can't review these materials, the dental decks, and even like the dental decks part 2. It's good, and the Mosby review, but they're not specific for the NDB for the AFK, right? Those are more specific for the IMBD, which is a simpler, like more. I want to use the word simpler, just like shallower questions, like formats. So they're different. They're not specific for our Canadian
so you
exams.
have to also
it's what if it's what you can
do kind of the conversion, you know. For example, let's say I know Mosby is shallow
with the articles from the NDEB,
deep, but also you might have US based concepts, and the issue with Dental Decks is unorganized.
Yes, and questions. Yes, it's so hard to like find a flow
thing.
Like with the cards.
So
yeah, it's random.
It's alphabetically ordered, not concept.
And the articles.
You know? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, alphabetically ordered. And the articles on the NDEB, there are some articles, but also the 150 books. So how do you go through 150 books? It's like going through dentistry again, like 4 or 5 years, right? So, yeah, it's something that you can do. It's not impossible, but it's not efficient, and it might not work for everyone, right? Without the guidance and time management.
Yeah, like even if you do it on your own, there's a chance that you will never make it. That's a high chance, right? So it's just like you're trying to rediscover. Just because there's a 5-6 months course, it doesn't mean you on your own need 5 to 6 months. It's because of taking a preparation course you could probably do that, but doing it on your own you could be lost. First of all, you need to know the direction.
Absolutely.
If you're going in the wrong direction, you could keep going in that wrong direction forever, and no one will tell you. That's the issue too, right? Of course, that's a way to prepare, but the other better way is to take an AFK preparation course. It's going to simplify, make it faster for you, give you guidance so you're going in the right direction. And not only that, like you'd be surprised that people start going in the right direction, and they could even start steering away from the right direction. That's why you need ongoing coaching, right? Like we have the live sessions going every week, and our dentists that study with us, we're always checking up. Like, what are you doing? Okay, don't go there. Why are you going that way? You got to stick on this path, right? So to help people stay on the path is also a coaching process, you know? So, I mean, I would say, in general, the better way is to take an AFK preparation course. Whichever course you choose, just make sure it's a reputable one. Just to give you like honest advice here, even if it's not ours, take a course is better than not taking a course.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
100%. And also like in a course, it's kind of like you learn how to play the game. So you learn how to answer the questions. You learn how to solve like what their meaning behind the questions, and that's not something that you can do by yourself. So that's also very important, right? Like learning how to play the AFK game, right?
Okay, so and here's the kind of questions you might see. This is an easy one. We're not giving you the hard ones here, just giving you an idea of the MCQs consist of, you know.
Let's see if they know.
I think everybody should know this.
Can anyone answer this?
If they don't, then okay.
Let's see.
Yeah.
If you don't know, just say I don't know. Okay. Okay, they're good. That was quick.
Yeah, so this one is, we
Good.
consider this easy. So
or is
we're
everyone
not
just going
you here at all. We have some tricky questions.
Yeah, this is an easy one.
It's just more to understand how it looks like. So this is one type of question. Then you have this style question in the release, right? So these style questions, we call them multiple of multiple. They do not come into the exam anymore, but it's still a good resource to learn, to kind of figure out, okay, what is there here to learn? Because you could turn this into this kind of question. Yeah, you just
three other
this
questions,
and then you say accept or something like that, right? Yeah. Do you guys know what the answer is here? So you could tell already the difficulty. Yeah.
Oh, this is a tricky one. I'm like
difficulty
looking.
here is also reading all these sentences, right? And then figuring out like, oh man, what am I doing again? So it's kind of figuring out which one's true and false. But
like this one sounds correct. This one also, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so here we answer it A, but that's regardless of the issue right now. It's during the course we could discuss it in detail. But so you guys learned the concepts here. Now the other concept that you want to understand when you're preparing for AFK, this is especially for the students that are registered with us, to already have this kind of mindset. This is a mindset very important for the AFK. You have to accept the fact that whether it's tackling some questions and options or just concepts in general, like ideas and concepts are out there, there's going to be consensus on some things where, let's say 95% we have consensus on, but there's always going to be a slight 5%, maybe 2%, in that area of controversial stuff, right? Things that it might be a question, okay, there's some uncertainty between these two options. There might be a concept where you could do it this way. Some books do it, say you could do it this way, different school philosophies, right? Like a common, example is the primary support area of the, upper denture. Sometimes it might simply depend on that year who's deciding making that decision. This is an idea, right? To get you on the right mindset. So where the error happens in a lot of dentists is a lot of times they put 90% of their effort into the 5%, which is the wrong thing to do.
Like trying to
solve the mystery. Solve the mystery.
Yeah, that's right.
The uncertainty, it kills them. So they put a lot of focus on that 5%, and thinking that, hey, since there's a consensus on the 95, it's easy. It's there for me to go and check. They get to the exam, but they learn, oh, that 95% is forgettable. I need to actually study that a lot to actually go to the exam answering correctly. That's the problem, right? So they go and they spend time maybe on, oh, what's this question? Why is it? They spend like countless discussions, and this is where the coaching is important. Look, we tell you this question. A lot of research has been done. This is the best answer for now. Don't open that door because you're going to go into a rabbit hole where you're going to waste a lot of time. You don't need that. Focus on all that stuff like simple. It could be as simple as memorizing max doses for analgesics. You know that what the answer is. Just go study it. Don't go to the exam not memorizing that, for example, right? So some people put it on the side. Oh, it's there. I'll review it later. And then they get to the exam. They're like, wow, now I don't have that. I can't store it in my brain. So, but you have to review it multiple times. Please.
Yeah. Can I give one example? Like a personal example? And I'm not proud of this, but I went to a mock, like one of the mocks, and I had completely forgotten the maximum dose of aspirin. Like aspirin, something that it's so common. I forgot. Do you guys know? Like, let's see who's fast. Like, don't Google it.
How do we know though?
Maximum aspirin dose, 4,000. Anyone else? They're taking. Yeah, it is 4,000. But I was like, is it 2?
Options.
Like, it's so simple. It's so easy to forget. Yeah, when you see other options, it's actually 4,000. But when you see, when you don't focus on the easy questions, it's so easy to forget or confuse them when you're like in the exam setting. You're a little bit nervous. It's so easy to be confused. So it's super important to focus.
To give you a difficult question,
It's a
You
trick.
start doubting your
Yes,
knowledge.
and you're
You're
like,
not
no,
certain,
this is a trick.
right?
100%. Yeah, yeah. And that's why you learn, like in the mocks, right? You learn to control your nerves, analyze the questions, and you learn that you have to focus on the 95%, right? Like
Yeah, so the goal is, if you
repetition.
can reach that 95% and get the certainty of that 95, get to the point where you're certain that no one could trick you, no one could, you won't doubt yourself in that 95%, then you should pass. You know, as we tell our dentists in the last month, like, if you're only a green belt, just make sure you go knowing your green belt knowledge. Don't try to become a black belt right now, like 2 weeks before the exam. You know,
That was a great like analogy. You should expand on
so
that.
like well, if you go to the exam and you only reached, in the 5-6 months, you're only to reach a level of a green belt, right? Which is a certain level, a few moves. Okay, now master those moves. Learn how to do them with your eyes closed, so that when you're in the exam, whatever comes around that, you know how to deal with it, right? Versus if you're in the last few weeks and you're like, okay, I'm a green belt, but now I'm going to try to be black belt, and you're trying to capture more new knowledge. What's going to
New
happen
moves.
is you're not a master of the green belt territory, and you're not even really good at the black, because you're just learning it. So you go to the exam and you might screw up both. So the concept is in a few months, let's say 4 to 5 months, you're going to reach a certain level. Your goal in the last month is just to make sure that level gets to the exam with the best, sharpest,
You're a master.
Mastery. Don't try to jump up more levels, because you might lose, I don't know if that, did I explain that well?
The mastery level.
The mastery level of that green belt. Yeah, hopefully that.
You did, yeah. You will lose the mastery level of the green belts, and you won't have the black belts
you're
level
not mastering
at
anything.
all. So, the point is, master like what you've learned. You have to accept like the level that you've reached and master that. That will give you the best chance. Not like trying to learn more and more and more.
You could put it in boxing. Like, let's say you learn 3 punches or 2 punches, jab and cross or something, right?
Yeah.
Master those 2 before the day before. Don't try to learn new stuff now, because while you're learning those, you're not mastering anything, right? So that's another example.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
So hopefully that relates to you guys. So focus on the 95%. Try to read and move forward. Don't get stuck in a spot. Sometimes you could get stuck in an area where just like that page becomes your world, and I don't know why. Every like sentence for you becomes a different. You want to go explore it more, and yeah.
That was me. 100% what happened to me in the beginning. It's just like the course really helps like help me deal with this. Like, you have to accept, read and move forward. You will understand, like it'll click, or you will go back to it later and leave it for later. You will understand at some point. Just don't go like digging too deep into things that will not take you further. You have to keep moving so that you go through most concepts, right? And I learned that throughout the course. I guess in the beginning already, like by like pathology, I was like, okay, no, I need to,
you caught it early. Yeah.
Stay focused, stay on track, keep
because
moving.
Everything could go deeper.
Thankfully.
Like, you could read a whole if you want to open a book on one disease, it
basic
could be expanded
science
and expanded and expanded, like it'll never end. Right?
Yes, I know.
Oh yeah.
And basic science, right? Basic science is the trickiest, because you want to. Well, in the beginning, you may feel like you need to know more to understand the next topic, and no, you don't. You need to understand this concept and move on. Like, you don't need to know more. You don't need to dig like deeper. Pharma's very volatile.
You would start after studying pharma with us. You're gonna love pharma. This is what everybody says. So
yes, that's that's unanimous. Everybody loves the way
it's actually
explained.
True, like what people feel after. Yeah.
Feedback, actual feedback. People who don't like pharma, they love pharma after studying with us. So you'd be surprised. If a question is
subjective, or has 2 answers, sometimes you come across questions where you could actually bring up a reference to support one answer, and then bring up another reference to support another answer. Okay, what do you do? Then just move on. Don't deal with that question. You know what? It's a dead end question. So wasting more time on it and energy, there's just no point.
True.
And we actually help and coach our dentists to go through this, right? We know which questions were in that category. Whereas, you know, if someone is studying on their own,
Yeah.
they still have to figure out which questions are like that, which means they have to research to figure. Yeah.
Like which ones are
And we'll just
important.
tell you straight off the
Yeah.
bat.
And we have a very
Yeah.
good researcher. We have a very good researcher at Scholars, so we got you covered.
Yes, we'll get to the schedule as well.
The course
Um,
schedule. Yeah. But this is
So
important.
here's another way of thinking when it comes to all the topics as well. So when you're studying, this is all the knowledge of dentistry. We call this, we want to stick into the green circle, right? So if imagine this is the knowledge of dentistry, right? Because we want to talk about how the questions, we'll get
Green
to that. Don't worry.
circle?
We'll get, yeah. I just
Oh, okay,
mentioned
sorry.
what we call the green circle afterwards, not now, right? So imagine this is all
Oh,
the knowledge of dentistry,
okay.
right? So the green circle is like the foundation or the very important parts of each topic. Okay? It's important to keep yourself in that green circle and not try to be a specialist in everything, which is impossible. You just can't become a specialist in everything. Even if you do read everything, you can't maintain everything and retain everything in your mind. So exactly.
For
It's
the
impossible.
exam, yeah.
Like you have to be some sort of, I don't know. So it just won't. So the questions,
Yeah.
the
Robot.
questions in the
Genius.
exam will come like this star. So majority of them will come from that green circle, right? The concept here is you have to accept the fact that there will be some questions that will go deeper into some topics. These are the difficult questions that are expected of you not to necessarily maybe answer correctly, right? So even if you get some of them wrong, okay, whatever. If you're at 100, you get 90, or if you're at 90, you get 80, right? So the concept is those are not your goal. Your goal is to make sure you don't screw up the green circle territory, because those are the questions where they expect you to know, and the majority. Okay? Now, let's say one exam,
The
95% of
95%.
questions, or well, majority, let's say. Let's say in the next exam,
Yeah.
you did an exam, and some really difficult, weird question came from radiology. A lot of people come back and they start chasing, oh, I got to read all radiology. That's what haunted me in that exam. I promise you it's not what failed you if that's a difficult question. You probably screwed up an easy question that you don't know about. But what happens is, what if next time the star turns, right? And now the complicated questions are from different categories. They went deeper into different areas. So one cycle, I think the cycle before your cycle, Flavia, they said, oh, ortho and implants, right? The last cycle, not a lot of ortho and implants.
Ortho
so like,
and implants.
it depends on where those tricky questions come from.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
This is very important. So during the duration of the course, you
Yeah.
don't dig too deep. And even if you see questions that perhaps were mentioned in the exam that were very detailed, it doesn't mean you need to go and expand books on that. Just learn that question specifically, and that's it. You know, we'll guide you on that process as well.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Can I add something just before we move on? So in my exam, we had like a lot of implant and ortho questions, and I'm an orthodontist, and I am pretty sure that I got some ortho questions wrong. They were really difficult, and you just can't let them affect you and like how you move on from that question to the next question.
That's important too.
So yeah, another tip is to not like during the exam, if you see a really difficult question, mark it and move on. Don't like waste time or energy or don't stress over it, because that will affect how you will answer the subsequent questions. So just a little tip.
So can we please discuss, someone's asking the course schedule. You could find that online actually. We could go over it later as well, but if Williams, can you send the link in for our course, our next AFK course, where the schedule is,
September.
you guys could view that on the website.
And maybe the mastery as well. Schedule. Well, that was quick.
He's ready. He's
He's on it.
Awesome.
Yep. Always ready.
So this
Mastery
is important,
course,
this
Andrew.
concept of the star. Hopefully you guys got it. It's a good visualization of how the exam will come. And I'll always take you back to it if you go off the right path. So
Yeah.
reading material, right? Study material. We get this question: is the books you give us in your preparation course, is this enough? We would say 100% it's enough. What are other resources you could consider? We said Dental Decks Part 1, 2, Mosby Review, First Aid Part 1 and 2, but they're not
Like I
AFK
said.
specific. They're not built for the AFK. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think like, oh, it's like, Dental Decks will have a big portion, but it's unorganized. And you have to be careful where there's American stuff that's specific. And then you have to think, okay, wait, there's Canadian articles that may have different numbers for some things, right?
Yeah. Even anesthetic doses are different.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
Yeah.
We also have a feature or like an early kind of bonus thing where you get the books early if you register before the course. That way you could start reading them before the course actually starts. So if you're considering, like, let's say the March or the November mastery, you can still get the books early. They're there behind you. If you guys want to see how they look like, behind Flavia there, you can see them. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful books.
They're 4 books mainly, but
So
you could
it's
read
4
them.
books. This is the ACJ one, so
Okay.
yeah.
An example in Dental Decks Part 2, just to kind of give you an idea of how that, a lot of, there's good information in Dental Decks. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just, it's very unorganized. So it's very difficult to scan through and process what you need and what you don't need. And that's what we've already done for you in a way. So, for example, the pathology, I think needs a lot of repetition and organization because they're all over the place,
100%.
and there's repetition in some areas too.
Yeah.
Perio, I think Perio, what makes it difficult from the decks is that it does need explanation and they don't explain it very well. Like the flaps, you're reading it and you're like, what? Like,
I wouldn't
until
know.
we actually draw it out and show you like on a board, or we do that in the course, but like you'll learn what they mean. Pharmacology, like in the decks, I don't know. Like how do you
It must
even
be
organize
so
it?
hard. Yeah. I don't know. Like as I have the dental decks here. Because actually, my partner had the dental decks. He was trying to study through the dental decks. Didn't work out for him, but I had them here. So I was like, okay. During like the last few weeks of the AFK course, I was just taking a look and quizzing myself basically with the cards. But when you turn them and you read the explanations, it's so difficult to understand. I felt like it was confusing me more than helping. So I was like, just, trying to quiz me.
Yeah.
Okay, I got this right. Not, if I didn't, I would go back to the AFK books.
Imagine then someone doing it without, even just like as a first time. And they start also alphabetically. So you just have like random drugs.
Yeah.
No like proper structure, right?
Exactly.
Even dental materials, there's not even a dedicated
flow. Yeah.
section for it. I think it's still just like dispersed and restorative and prosto. So there isn't like a section called dental materials, at least from the ones I studied from. So
the emojis. So on point.
So the question is that some people ask is, can you pass without courses in 2024? I would say it's very difficult these days to pass. Now, if you heard someone in like 2011 that passed without a course, back then they used to repeat a lot of released. Back then it was more like there was more of a chance if you studied very hard on your own, you could pass. Now, because actually the courses are raising the bar, that if you're not taking a course, like you're not even doing the standard thing anymore. Like you're really behind, right? So I would say it's very, very difficult to make it through. So you might ask, what do courses do? Of course, everybody has a different level. So you need to reach a certain point to pass. So like, let's say this is the point of passing, right? Someone may be starting here with their knowledge. Someone may be starting here, right? So everybody's going to have a different time to get to that point to pass. One person may sprint up. One person may walk. One person may crawl. Okay. I don't know if I could draw a crawling person, but
That's
So
good. That's actually good. Except for the head.
so everybody has,
Looks like
this is
heart.
very important because some people think like, oh, it's a cookie, like a cookie, like everybody cookie cutter system. No,
Cookie cutter. Yeah. I'll take the course, I'll
you have
pass.
to look at the variable, which is you are the variable. The course is consistent, it's the same, but you are the variable, right? So the way you
Mm-hmm.
perceive and you operate the course is very crucial, right? So that's what we mean by this. Some
Yeah.
people could
Mm-hmm.
walk up this mountain, some people could sprint up, some people could crawl up, and everybody's starting from a different level. Some people may have interruptions where they have to camp
Different
for a
point.
few
Yeah.
days somewhere, like everybody has a different path and journey, right? You can't copycat a journey. So
Yeah.
we'll give you the formula, but of
Exactly.
course, you have your life, your lifestyle. So that's why what a course will do is make your journey faster compared to your journey. Okay? Does that make sense? So if
Mm-hmm.
your journey, if let's say it
Mm-hmm.
will take you 2 years to climb this without a course, the with a course, it might take you a year, right? If you're already someone, sorry,
Or two.
yeah,
Oh,
with a
with
course,
the
it'll go
course.
faster,
Sorry. Yeah, with the course, it might take a year.
right? So someone's saying they
Mm-hmm.
registered for the AFK September. So what you want to do before is read the book. Start reading basic science and pharma. Yeah, try and just
Try
go
going through.
reading them in
Mm-hmm.
order. Okay. um. So yeah,
Can I give you an
you do.
example here? Like me, my example again. So the reason I felt like I needed a year with the course was because I had been away from dentistry for 10 years. So I moved here to Canada in 2013. Yeah. And I graduated in 2009 back in Brazil. Then I moved here in 2013. And I spent 10 years being afraid of taking the step, like of starting a course, just because I thought I wouldn't be able to complete the course because I had little children. And I just thought it's impossible to do it with a kid or working. Even if I was working part time, I just thought
Mm-hmm.
it's impossible. I would have to wait until they were all in school so I could have more time. But things are getting more expensive here. And I just decided, you know what, like I'm just gonna go for it. And it might take me a year or two, but I just have to start now because if I start later, it'll take
Mm-hmm.
me even longer. And then that's when like I took the first step, and thankfully like it took me 6 months. I went through
Yeah,
like
you
up
saw
the
you
mountain
saw.
in 6 months, even
Yeah,
though I had been away from
that's
dentistry for
another.
so long. So it
You know
happens.
what's
It can
interesting there is
happen,
that you could
right?
even, like, how do you say this? Like, have an incorrect plan of yourself. Like you thought you need a year to climb the mountain,
Yeah, yeah.
right, with a course, but it turned out you were able to do
And
it in six
turns
months.
out,
Some people
yeah,
may come and go, you know what, I'm gonna do it six
exactly.
months with the course, but maybe you need a year. Like, so you can't. The proof is at the end, the result.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That is the evidence that shows did you need more
yeah.
time or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so no, it's impressive
Yeah.
that at the
Mm-hmm.
end that happened, right? And
It
it's
is. It was a
it's a
surprise.
good, yeah, it's a good
A nice surprise.
good news, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much sums up here the concept, right?
And I want to add one more thing because someone asked, is the material from scholars like can we what was it called? Can we depend completely on scholars' books? I think I'm proof that you can because I didn't use any other material, even though I had the decks, like I said, ended up not using this at all. Well, just for quizzing myself at the end, and it turned out to be more confusing than helpful. So the scholar's material is what, helped me succeed. So I would say 100% you can depend on scholars' books and lecture. Of course, do the course entirely, not
Yeah.
just the books, right?
Only books or only mocks is not you being
Dedicate
dedicated.
for the.
Okay, whoever
Yeah,
someone's asking
no.
about mocks only. You're not
Yeah,
climbing the
yeah,
mountain then. You're trying to jump the mountain, but we don't promote something that we don't think
you
works.
have to use all
Exactly.
the
So we have a
resources.
plan that we think works,
Yeah,
and that's the main thing. You didn't even do a consult. I remember you just like registered. I'm like, what? You didn't.
I didn't. Yeah, I just registered. I didn't even do a consult. I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm doing it.
This is a survey we actually did. It's a public survey, not related only to scholars. Like, it's all foreign trained dentists. And we wanted to find out, is there any, now, of course, there could be some, margin of error where maybe the failures don't want to respond too much. So maybe it's higher. So what we did is, of course, we included any course, right? Taking any course versus no course. And we had 63 people respond. And the results were not taking a course at all. The chances of passing was 16%, right? So that's your chance of passing if you don't take a course. Now, I think it's actually less than that, because I think more failures probably didn't fill it up, or like whatever, right? Who knows, right?
Yeah, and to compare this accurately, you would have to have like the same amount of people who didn't take a course,
Correct.
Right? So there's less
so I think a lot of people
subjects
that
here to analyze, but
didn't take a course are probably not already in those communities anyway, so it's hard to get them the form, right?
Yeah, to find people who go without a course. Yeah, because people they just know that the chances of passing are slim.
So took a course, any course, we found that there was a 50% chance of passing any course, right? If you take any course, your chances are 50%. So you might think it's not a lot, but yeah, it isn't. It's a tough exam. We're not saying it's going to be easy peasy. It's a competitive exam. But if you want to state it the right way, it's more than 3 times this chance, right? So you're tripling, you're over tripling your chances of passing by just taking any course. Okay, we have in that same year, our passing rate was 83%, and we've always averaged between 80 to 90%. And if you look at it on average, and one cycle we did get 97, but that depends on the cycle and the questions and everything, right? But it's averaging there. We also looked at stats in terms of only mocks and crash courses, which is also not great, right? So it's not a good chance of passing, and then we looked even at duration, right? Like, so most passers studied between 6 and 12 months. That's why the mastery course can help, right? So we have 2 questions related to the same concept here. So we believe in the online format. Our course is online. All of it is online. You don't need to waste time commuting, right? I know some people may be, kind of stuck in the mentality of being in class. If that's the case, then we're not for you. We believe in the online format. So you would have to then find an in-class course if that's what you want to do. But if you want to do an online course, because we don't offer in-class, you should come to us for the online course, because we're doing everything in the online. Everything is poured into the online course, right? Everything we do is for that online format that we believe in, okay? So anyone, if you're not in Canada, you could do the course with us online. We ship the books to your address, and that's something we could discuss. You could call admission office with us, and they'll explain to you anything else. We're going to talk about more stuff as we get forward, okay?
I know she's probably asking about the AFK course, but Scholars offers the NDECC course, right? Which is in person then. Yeah, but it's for the last exam.
Course,
because it's practical.
For Ryan, sorry. Someone's asking for the timing. We're going to get to the course schedule if you want to see it. But the timing is, our structure is, you have the videos for a week to watch for that module on your own time and pace. Then on Saturdays, we do a live Q&A.
Any time of the day.
The timing on Saturdays is around 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m. Toronto time.
EST, yeah. And just one more thing for, what is their name? Christian? No, not Christian. Sorry. Ryan. You can, so the course is entirely online, and we'll ship the books as well. For free, right? So you will receive the books anywhere you're located.
How many hours? See, the reason we can't dig into that's a longer discussion. Whoever's asking how many, again, we told you it's not a
What?
cookie cutter thing, but over the whole week, you need
Oh
around
yeah,
at
yeah,
least
yeah.
30 hours to just go through the videos. So it could be anywhere from 20 to 30 hours to go. Now, studying, that's
Mm-hmm.
how fast do you retain information? That's the question. Do you know the answer to that? So if you could give
Mm-hmm.
me a measure of how fast you retain information, then maybe we could come up with how many hours you need. So
We can
that's where
calculate.
that
Yeah.
question is not, you know, it's a
It's
loaded
it's
question.
yeah,
Like it needs more
it's
digging into your
subjective.
own schedule, right?
But if you want an example, I committed to doing at least 3 hours a day. So that was like
Mm-hmm.
so I'm saying at least because I never went one day without
Mm-hmm.
studying during the course. And often I would go for longer. So around 5 hours a day on weekdays and then the entire weekend. So full time during the weekend. And that I think totals kind of like a full time studying, right? If you're doing like 5 hours a day on weekdays and
Possibly,
then
yeah. Like if you could do 8,
full days on
probably.
weekends, almost like full time.
Because you're doing
Yeah,
videos. So
yeah,
let's
I
say
was
you do
doing
8
it during
hours
the
on
weekends for
Monday,
sure.
8 hours on Tuesday, 8 hours on Wednesday. You'll finish all the video content. Then all the 8 hours left are reviewing from the book and getting better at it. Or are you talking only about video time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me, what I did, that was video time in the books, right?
Exactly.
Just
So
like
your
with the
retention is
books,
probably
watching
a
the
little
videos,
bit
doing the
like you're
questions.
able to retain faster too. Because you only went through the videos and the books at this, but did you review it during the week as well?
Um, no, not
Okay.
really. I
So
reviewed
yeah.
at the end
So everybody will
during
have
the mock
there's some
season,
flexibility.
right?
Yeah.
I left the review for the end.
Yeah. So we'll talk about
Yeah.
some.
But yeah, and we can create timeline for, the students, right?
Sorry.
Alina asked, create timetable
We
to
have a
help
study
you in
guide, but
study.
yeah,
Like
we have
we
a
can
study
help
guide.
people.
We
Yeah.
have ways. Every week you'll see us. So it's not like you're gonna see us every week. So when you come into the session, we have also some casual sessions we do just to talk. And if you have questions there where it's like, well, I'm
Mhm.
having trouble with this, we give you guidance on how to figure out your timetable, right? Um, so maybe they're not too
Mhm.
interested in this part, so I'm just gonna move forward here and the stats. But anyway,
The passing rates.
This is not this is just like general,
That's too far ahead.
give them, it's good data, like to understand how long you need. Most people that pass study between
It
12 and
is.
6
Yeah.
and 12 months,
Mhm.
right? So that's why the mastery course 9 months,
Mhm.
our essential course is 5 to 6 months. At the end of the course, what we do is we do an evaluation test. Okay, you could see the evaluation test we have here is from previous previous cycles. So for example, people that scored above 90% on average in the test, like you could see here, majority of them pass. People that scored, above, and then if it's below 80, there was a low chance of passing. So the 80s area kind of fluctuates depending on the difficulty of the exam. So you could see at one point, like we found that people that were scoring in the 80s had various levels of passing, but it depends on the difficulty of the exam of that cycle anyway. But anyway, there's evaluation tests that will help guide you if you're ready or not for the exam. Okay. This was one of the cycles where actually people above 80, 97% of them passed in that cycle. Okay. So study for 6 months or more. That would be a recommendation as well. Like 6 months is the minimum, 5 to 6 is the minimum. But some people could use more. And this is something that depends on, we call it type 1, type 2, but really your situation. So a type 1 dentist or foreign trained dentist, this is someone that could study full time. Okay. This is where, maybe some of your questions of how many hours do I need is important. So studying full time, meaning you don't need to work to support yourself right now, or maybe minimal work, like 1 day a week or 2 days a week, but you could sit down and study full time, study 8 hours a day kind of thing. You don't have many family obligations or responsibilities. You don't have kids that you have to take care of, any duties. And recent graduate helps because you still are fresh with the knowledge and you're still in study mode. So if these all three factors come together, we would call that a type 1 person. And we would say, yeah, like there's a chance to make it through the 6 months, you know, like try the essential course, see how that goes. Then you'll learn more and see if that works out or not. But it's something that's doable, right? Then you have the type 2 person, which is the exact opposite, where they have to work to support themselves or their family. So their studying is partial, like fragmented, 2 hours here, 2 hours there, 3 hours of this day. They have a family and kids to take care of, right?
That was me.
They graduated a long time ago. This is a type 2 person. For this person, look, you could be hungry and you want to do it in 6 months. So you could try. And if it doesn't work out, you repeat the course and then you extend it to a year. Or some people, just from the start, like Dr. Flavia, she already knew she wanted longer, right? And then just kind of went for it and passed. But so, yeah, so that's the opposite side where we say, you know, you might need a year to be more comfortable. And that's where we came up with the mastery course for professionals that are busy, right? You're working full time. You have, you know, you're a stay-at-home parent with a bunch of kids, right? So mastery course will give you 9 months to complete the same program, which will be more relaxed, more effective. Okay. So type 1, type 2, and then some of you may be somewhere in between, right? And that needs a little bit more of a discussion. Or you could book a free consult with us, by the way, and we could discuss that if you want. But if you already know yourself, then you could figure out which cycle you want, which course you want, which strategy you want to take, which exam you're going to take. Okay. But starting sooner is always better to give you that time.
I agree.
So.
Yeah, I think either way, it's good to plan more time, you know, for preparation. Just either way, even if you're a type 1, you have a lot of time. Because I find that people that have a lot of time, sometimes they don't focus enough while they're studying. Just because they have so long, like to go studying, like they can't sit down and study for hours. Sometimes they just don't focus enough. And they, you know, their studying is less effective than those who have less time. You know, that's interesting. Like if you have fragmented hours to study, sometimes when you're sitting like for 1 hour, you're absorbing a lot because you're super focused. You only have that 1 hour, and then you do another hour. And sometimes people who have the full time, they're like tiring themselves, like burning out and not absorbing as much.
Like,
so that's something to consider as well. Just, you know,
like,
an observation.
Call like a random factor, right? Like, so it's hard for them to know exactly if it's going to be that way for them or not, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just plan more time than you think you need. I feel like
we're definitely going to go through a
helpful.
demo to show you the platform, and I could even show you guys some of the, you know, I don't have the hours on me, but the hours per week in the classic course range around 20 to 30 hours of video runtime. Like that's the video length, right? 20 to 30 hours. Some of them could be 15, okay? So
well,
it could
you
be
would
15,
have to finish in a week.
Let's say the 25 hours. Maybe basic science is the only one that's at the 30. But but with the mastery course, you get 2 weeks to complete that, right? Two weeks. So someone is asking if I'm working 5 days a week and I have kids, maybe the mastery course is something you want to consider, right? So there's 2 ways of doing it. You could take the classic 5 to 6 months course, and after it, repeat another 5 to 6 months. You could take the 9 months course and just do it once, but like more relaxed, right? So there's different ways of going about it.
Yeah.
So we recommend taking a course. Please don't wait until you fail an attempt. It's a lot easier to work with someone that's on their first attempt, make proper recommendations. The basic science, what does it include? That doesn't whatever you need, we're going to give you what you need in the basic science. That's what you need to know. So there's like, you don't need to know exactly the topic right now. We'll get to that soon, okay? But there's a lot of things: biology, physiology, histology, right? It's this
entire book.
Basic science. Okay.
Basic
There's
science.
Some epidemiology in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't wait until you fail an attempt. Your time is valuable. Make the wise decision. And also think about your time. If you fail, you're actually losing a lot of money, in yourself, right? The more, when you fail, you're losing another 6 months of being a dentist, right? This is another way. If the
True.
faster you get to becoming a dentist, every month is 10 to 20,000 in income, right? So if you're worried about, do I want to take, a course? Again, I said you don't have to take our course is a bit more premium. It's on the premium side. If you just get some help if you need, but think about the opportunity cost that you're missing by just trying to do it on your own, how much time you're wasting. And if you fail, that 6 months is pretty much at least 60,000 in income, So just think about that one. All that could be paid off when you're done, right? Easily. Okay. So if someone passed without a course a long time ago, doesn't mean it's a wise decision. It was a wise decision. This is something I just kind of joke about. Like if someone jumps off a bridge and, they survive, it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Or it's the wise decision.
Yeah. Is that wise?
Now, some people are asking about the online course.
No, they're lucky.
Is it as good as in class? Some people ask us that. We believe in the online format. We believe it's better than an in-class format. As I said, if it's done the right way, right? You have to understand, for us, our online
I agree.
Course is not a side thing. It's not a secondary course that we just launch on the side where we're focusing our efforts on an in-class and we're kind of doing an online on the side. The online course is our only course, right? Because we believe in this format over the in-class. Okay? If you want to go and just have a discussion, like we could argue for days why, but here's like a few points. The first factor is you save on commute time. Like that is already saving what, like 3 hours for every time, or maybe an hour to 3 every day you're attending. Usually, like in Canada, any commute is like an hour. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but you're considering that the person is in the GTA,
if you're
right?
not,
like if I wanted to take the course, I'm in London. I'm 2 hours, 3 hours away with traffic. So that would be 6 hours of my day coming to scholars and then coming back.
I mean,
and if they're not in Ontario, not even possible.
So that's a commute time thing. Also the social factor, like going there, talking to people, like you're going to at least waste another half an hour. It's just, you're wasting more time.
Yes.
You're going to get distracted.
Yeah.
The other thing is the important content that we have, the lecture, is all pre-recorded. So you're not missing any explanations. Meaning, let's say you're in class and you just kind of need 10 minutes to go to the washroom. That's it. Whatever is happening there, you miss it, right? You don't even know what you missed. Here, you could pause the video, do whatever you need, and you have that pacing for the week for each module to control your time, to figure it out, right? Like you could pause, you could rewind if you need.
Yeah.
So you're not missing any important explanations. You could understand the content even before getting the Q&A, right? So you kind of get to digest all the lectures. Then you have a Q&A on Saturday, which will develop a higher quality question that you would have, right? Versus being in class, sometimes you'd have like you don't even have time to think about it. So you just raise your hand and ask, right? Yeah.
To process. Yeah. Yeah. You have more time to process the information and then come to the live sessions and
it's weird to have let's say you're in the middle of a session and that's when you could ask the questions, because you're not even knowing if that's a question yet. Like you haven't had time. And then when do you get the next interaction?
Yes.
Next time, but next time is a different subject. So it's like weird, right? So so that's why an online format will give you that time.
Yeah.
Live sessions are dedicated to the Q&A. That's our live. So during our live session on Saturday, we're not lecturing you. The timing is going to be around 9:30 a.m. EST. So we're not lecturing you. We're there to receive your questions. We're happy to answer your questions, right? If you're in an in-class, or even if it's like a live lecture, like you're interrupting when you ask and you kind of know it and it kind of feels awkward, right? Like you're asking and you're like, okay, I'm going to ask again. Oh, okay. And other students are like, come on, hurry up, like stop stalling.
You need to finish. I need to.
We have to start driving home.
Start driving home.
Stop asking. It gets awkward in those in class. But if we're coming to the session in our format, coming to the live session on Saturday, saying this is only for questions, everybody. There's no disturbance, right? So it's actually a way better flow, way more comfortable. Some people even find it more that are shy to ask in class and be put on the spot. like to kind of text the question in the room and
Me.
you know, on Zoom, or so they kind of even
Yeah.
get to speak out,
It's
right?
easier. Yeah.
That's it. The only thing you might be missing out on a bit is like seeing people in person. We had events where we kind of had an AFK gathering just to meet everybody that can make it. So we created a
Like
meet and
meet
greet
and
event.
greet.
But
Yeah.
honestly, is that really an important thing to pass? No. You're not here to have fun. You're here to pass. So
No, not to pass.
have fun in NDECC, okay?
Yeah.
So,
Then you'll interact. Yeah.
and we're almost done, guys.
Oh,
Yes.
can I add one detail about the online course, which I found very like helpful? In the platform, you can add subtitles to the lectures. So if your English is not like up there, and it helps, because to me it helps like like seeing the words visually, it helps me retain. So that's something that the platform offers, and I think it's really great. And also adjusting the
Yeah.
speed of the videos. I think that's like that was great for me, because like if you're not understanding something, you can slow down. Or if you're like, okay, I'm getting used to Dr. Hafiz or the other instructors, you know,
Yeah.
tone or you know speed, you can speed up a little bit, and that saves you a little bit of time. So that's like great, and you don't have that in the you know in-person class. So
Yeah.
that to me was
I
really
mean,
really
see,
helpful.
we have accomplished so many milestones in the past where it's like we added subtitles, we did this, we did that, that I even forget about them. But it's nice to have you here because you remind, like, oh look, this little thing here is really
Yeah,
helpful, right? The chaptering systems and some
and it's
videos, like
helpful.
all
It
these
is
things,
helpful.
right?
Yeah.
Having that capability, the pop-ups that we could create,
Yeah.
like,
The chapters. Yes. If you want to go back to something, like there's a chapter where you can just click and it go back to that, you know, topic. So that's helpful as well.
and so that's kind of the benefits of an online course if it's done properly. As I said, every way we think about it, it's almost better. Like, it's, if you think about the lectures themselves, you could rewind, repeat at your own pace. This is better than an in-class or a live online, right? Efficiency and productivity, better. You're saving commute time. You could watch things twice if you need. Better, right? Material-wise, I mean,
Yeah.
material-wise is the same. So I'm being here transparent, like it's the same. If an in-class or a live online is willing to print and ship, some don't actually give material. So just be careful, ask about that. But we provide material, it's included in the course. Price, we ship it for free, and print it for you and ship for you. The questions you may ask are better. I think you develop better questions. The social, I think, ends up being the same if you're okay with just like chatting with people online and texting. I think, like, yeah, we have the WhatsApp group.
Because we have the WhatsApp group.
Updates.
Yeah.
Even updates is better because if we want to update you on something, it's simple. We could record, we design it, we record it, we update it into the platform versus needing to schedule a session or something like that with everybody, right? So, I mean, we've developed a lot. Every year, there's new things that we have added, you know, to our courses. So I'm not going to get into, you know, everyone. You could view this if you guys want, but, you know, we do have subtitles, chapters in the our platform now works on mobile, tablets, all that. So like before it was mainly desktop, but now it's like we expanded to that. Access to we do have an access to online books on the platform as well. And we have a study guide, a built-in schedule into the platform. So you just go to the platform, you kind of see what you need to do next, right? We'll show you guys. Here's some messages that we received from the last AFK exam. Okay, some of our...
These were good.
So, these were good. I mean, there's
These
a
were
lot
good.
more than this, but I only
so proud.
showed... These are the ones I got time to throw into this presentation. I mean, my name could be spelled wrong. It's fine, but it shows that I didn't write these, okay? So,
it's still him. Yeah. That's still Dr. Hafiz.
So you can see, you know, they went to the exam. Many of the questions were similar to those in the mocks in practice. You know, I believe that they did fairly well. Okay, like just you could kind of see these are the kind of, this is what they felt after the exam, right? The exam felt like I took an evaluation test. A lot of questions were similar to the mocks, hoping for good results. They felt that some questions were like literally similar, very similar to the mocks. There's another one here. familiar with a lot of concepts, was able to do it freely because all the practice from the mocks. So this is giving you guys an idea that, you know, even the latest exam, people came out feeling this way. Of course, we're waiting for the results. We're hoping the best. I was familiar with a lot of concepts and was able to do it freely because, oh, I already said that one, right? A lot of repeated questions from the mocks. Less than 5% new concepts. Rest of the questions are from the books. Okay, so you can see that this is some testimonials to see. Okay, everybody, so some studying tips for your AFK. This is kind of studying guide. Read and, you know, expect yourself to forget, so you need to read over and over again. I would suggest that if you read something over, you know, multiple times over a few months, it's better than trying to read it, you know, in the first 1 hour. Like, if you read something 10 times in an hour, you have to study something, forget it a little bit, and then go back to it. That's where you actually create that proper memory pathway. I'm not going to go into detail here because this is stuff we could talk about in the beginning of the course as well. Like, I coach you guys in more detail right in the beginning of how to cross things out. So I'm going to, because we kind of went a little bit more than what we expected in time, so I'm just going to move a little bit faster in these things. And we could, you know, they're repeated in previous AFK orientations as well. What our course will do, we have organized all the information, understood it. We'll help you understand those concepts so you don't need to take your, you know, go figure out yourself. We'll figure it out for you. We'll provide you with the organized material. We have researched all the questions, and this will help you pass the AFK faster. This is my method where, you know, I do cross out things that I don't need, and I teach you guys this method to minimize the amount that you need to review. This is how my dental decks ended up looking like, right? So, and hopefully how your books and question booklets will look like after you study them. Okay. I'm going to skip the studying part here as well. So if you do the same with questions. Yep.
Oh, Dr. Hafiz, sorry. Just one thing. You were asking if I was reviewing anything during the course, and I forgot to mention that, yes, pathology and pharma. Remember, I was always going back to pathology and pharmacology, like reviewing using the Anki decks and just reviewing those, you know, lesions, things about pharma and pathology. Those were the only ones that I reviewed during the course. Okay. Forgot to mention that.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, we will answer your questions. We just want to go through the orientation, and then we'll get to the Q&A, right? Maybe we should just turn this into a Q&A eventually. Maybe we'll solve it. Reading, so I'll skip the how to study part. How to use the course. I'll just skip it here. So why do people fail at the end? There's 3 things we believe. Now, first, of course, it could be knowledge. So you have to study. You have to take the right guidance. If you're taking the course and you are studying well, then it shouldn't be knowledge at that point. There's other factors that influence your answering, right? And that's where we get to these 3 things that I kind of thought of. Maybe you could add more, but I thought of these 3 things, which is fear and stress, confidence, and unrealistic expectations. So overconfidence or underconfidence?
Or under?
No, both.
Overconfidence,
both.
yeah.
That's why I just confidence.
Yeah, I guess both. Yeah, I guess a little bit, like both.
So
both could hurt.
Look at first fear and stress.
The outcome.
You know, when people get freaked out in the exam, how do we want to put this? I think I said it last time to the dentist. It was whatever level you have, let's say it's 80%, you need to be calm to be able to allow that to transfer to the actual answering sheet to come through. If you have too much fear and stress, you get a little bit like cloudy, and the wrong, like maybe, you know, 67% comes out, for example. Like that's the reason, because you start making wrong judgments.
Yes.
So you need to manage your fear and stress.
Yes.
Right?
That is so true.
And one way we give them tips on how to, you know, calm themselves down, like look at this as an interesting opportunity to relearn dentistry the right way, the better way. That's going to be fun. Right? Change your mindset, learn in order to become the next generation of qualified dentists. Don't allow the exam to keep you in this fear living kind of state, right? Learn to enjoy, try that. And also you have to have your own kind of relaxation and breaks throughout your studying, right? Okay. So that's like something. sometimes the fear of suffering, I read this once, is worse than the suffering itself. So it's kind of thinking about failing is like
That
more
is so
problematic.
true.
When you
That
fail,
is,
it's
yeah,
bad, but it's happened. But like the fear of it is worse, right?
100%.
Which keeps you kind of it's
Mm-hmm.
more
It's
damaging.
more damaging. Yeah,
Um,
100%.
confidence, you need the right
Mm-hmm.
amount of confidence. If you're too overconfident, then what happens? You start you're getting some ignorance, like you don't read enough, or you don't study enough, or you leave things behind thinking you know them. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
issue. But also, um, the reason I don't worry about this one is most dentists are not overconfident. I think some of them are, where they go like, oh, I can do this exam. I
Mm-hmm.
work for 5 years. They go and fail. Yes, those ones, like that's,
Or like, yeah, or like I just
or
finished,
I
like I
just read
just
it once and I should
graduated.
be fine.
Should be
Something
easy.
like that. But a lot of times
Yeah.
people don't see this one, but it's the lack of confidence too, right? Um, if you go,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the lack of confidence
Mm-hmm.
makes you over study things you don't need to study, right? Let's just say you can study non-productively, like let's say you studied something, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
like if
that's
you
what I
know
was
something
saying,
very
right?
well
Yeah.
and you're studying it, you're making yourself feel better
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, oh, I know this, but and then you're not actually learning
Mm-hmm.
the proper gaps. You know what I mean? So like you're just reviewing the things you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's one point of um, lack of confidence, because you're afraid of crossing things out. You're afraid of like saying, I know that, I don't need to review it anymore. So it's a tricky balance where you have to really know what
Mm-hmm.
you know so that you could not study that. And that's a process. Then the next point
And
is
yeah.
being not confident in the exam, where you doubt everything. You're like, do I know what this is? Am I sure of this? Oh no, this question, I don't know it, but you probably do know it if you just kind of believed you had the answer, right? So those kind of things as
Mm-hmm.
well. Do
Mm-hmm.
you have anything here you want to share?
Yeah. No, I think you covered it. I just maybe would like to say, because we have some dentists who are like specialists, and it's important to be humble when you're learning the subjects here for the AFK purpose, right? Because not everything is it's practical or the way you have learned. So it's important to allow yourself to learn the way things work here and for the
Mm-hmm.
AFK purpose, right? So that's where I would think the overconfidence
Mm-hmm.
could play, a role. Just like you have to allow yourself and like to be taught
Mm-hmm.
and to accept the way the
You have to
concepts
have a
are
low
coming,
modulus of
right?
elasticity.
No, that was a good one. Good one. Yeah.
Okay. Decide when to be confident.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a strategy where, like, if you study something, you test yourself in 2 months, do you know it or not? If you ended up knowing it, then you could assume that you'll know it after 2 months, right? So if I
Mm-hmm.
studied,
Mm-hmm.
topic X, and then in 2 months I came back and I found myself I still know topic X, good. So that means if the exam is one
Mm-hmm.
month away, I probably don't need to review it because I would know it in two
Exactly. Yeah.
months. I tested it, right? So those are the kind of things that we talk about here.
Yeah.
But all this and more,
Mm-hmm.
like when we're in the course, we go a little bit more deeper into the psychology and stuff. But yeah,
More
and
tips.
we
Yeah.
tell our dentists to go to the exam. Imagine you're a scientist. Just think about it like you're a scientist, you're a scholar, and they're getting your opinion. Don't think about it as a test. You're just giving your opinion. This is what you think should be done in that
Mm-hmm.
question. You're the expert here. That will kind of help you in the exam to like forget.
Mm-hmm.
It's a test for a bit. Yeah.
Yes. The pressure. Yeah. 100%. Like for the
Mm-hmm.
exam, it's important to be confident. Like you can't keep like second
Yeah.
guessing yourself. For the exam, the day of the exam, you have to be confident. You have to think about yourself as the
Mm-hmm.
help that the NDEB needs, right?
We're almost done, I promise, and then we could go to the Q&A. I know you guys want to ask the questions. We're getting there. So the expectation is another thing. So you have to go into the exam with a realistic expectation of what you're going to see in the exam. Just know this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't get, we tell people this and they just don't, it doesn't sink in. You're going to go to the exam and it will never be the case that you know every question. it just won't. That like what? No,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's not the proper. This is not an easy exam, right? They're not building it that way so that you go in
Mm-hmm.
and you know everything, right? So you have to walk in expecting
Yeah.
some confusing questions. You have to walk in expecting that, right? From
Mm-hmm.
my
Yeah.
from my exam, I remember at least I counted 50 to 70 where I circled from my 300 question, right? Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Hajar also counted around 50 to something. I scored 91. Dr. Hajar scored 90. So um, just because you have
Mm-hmm.
circled questions are confusing doesn't mean you're doing bad, right? Um, you can't walk in and
Mm-hmm.
go, oh, if there's any confusing questions, that means something was wrong. No, no. You should be confused about some questions. There's some questions that it's right for you to be
Mm-hmm.
confused about.
Are meant for. Yeah, they're
And
meant
exactly.
to be confusing, right? They're meant to
And we're gonna
test.
try to,
Yeah.
replicate that in the mock so you get over the feeling. The problem is if you're confused about the wrong questions, the ones that shouldn't be confusing, or sometimes you're
Yeah.
not
The
confused, you
easy
just answer them
ones.
incorrectly, and that those
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes it's the confidence thing, right? The
Okay.
lack of
Some
confidence.
part of it is be prepared to be disappointed in the exam. Like when you go in, I mean, thankfully our students didn't feel that way, but like I'm just saying, we should be prepared for that you're going to go in and oh, I studied so much, but there's like a lot of questions I didn't know. That's normal. Like there's going to be some questions where you feel like you're confused, right?
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so managing stress and anxiety is very important. The four basics is sleep, nutrition, exercise, mindfulness. We'll talk
Yes.
about that more. Manage yourself. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
you're studying. Make sure you're leading yourself. We're just here being part of your story. We can't, plan that for
Mm-hmm.
you. Now, the curriculum, I'm just going to go over this quickly again. It's all on the website. We start with basic science. That's the starting point we always begin with. It's a module. It's a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's our launching pad to getting pharma and pathology. After basic science,
It's
the
like the
foundation,
base, right?
right?
The
So
foundation.
that's the purple book behind you,
Mm-hmm.
right? The purple book. And then
Yes.
after the
The one I
basic
showed
science, you
earlier.
learn so we say the basic science is getting you to become the scientist. And then after that, we go into the medical book, the blue book,
That is the medical
which
book.
is the pharmacology. If you want to take it, bring them
The
closer
blue one.
too, just to show. So there's the blue book.
This is a bit like thicker.
That one is,
Yeah, this is a little bit thicker.
yeah.
It's like 349
Now here there's some confusion that
pages.
some
No,
people may
400,
see,
sorry.
you might find institutions where they have like 20 books, but what they do is they just put every topic in a book, and it's slide based, right? Our
Looks
books are
thinner.
book format. So if you open and show the book format, Flavia, do you mind? Sorry, just to show you guys like
Mm-hmm.
what we mean. So it's a textbook
Yeah, of
format,
course.
which makes it more convenient for you to carry versus printing out slides, which will just occupy more pages. And it looks like there's a lot of slides. So we don't do that. We actually have a book format. That's why we're able to put it into 4 books. Okay. But it's still a lot of content.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also mine are super new and clean because these are actually new books. The ones that I use, they're like all full of notes and scribbled over. These are my new ones.
So that's the medicine part, which is pharmacology, patient management, pathology, and anesthesia. Pharmacology by itself is 2 weeks. So that's 2 modules. Pathology is another 2 weeks. Anesthesia is 1 module.
2
1 week.
weeks.
So you're looking at a month and a half. After anesthesia is a review and a break.
For this book.
We want to start with pharma and patho after basic science so that these are the heavy memorization stuff. So this way you have more time before the exam to keep reviewing them. This is our plan, right? To start with these so that you have more time to review them and memorize them before the exam. Okay? So that will what you feel like you're becoming the doctor before you become the dentist, right? And then you have the engineering stuff, which is the green book, or the mechanical stuff, dental materials, prosto, restorative, and ortho. Dental materials is a week, prosto is a week, restorative is also a week, and ortho is a week. So these are 4 modules, and there's a break in there. So imagine in the mastery course, you're going to get double the time for each module. Okay? The surgical stuff is the red book. Endo, perio, implant surgery, and radiology. Also, perio is the biggest one here where it gets 2 weeks. Okay, so 2 modules. And it has implants within it as well. Pedo is distributed within restorative and every other section. Thank you, Flavia, for showing that as well. So
you're welcome.
how does the online course work? So once you register, I could show you a demo. I'll do that after so that we keep the flow of the slides. And again, everybody here is going to get a Udemy. Just request it if you want, and we'll send it. Actually, we'll send it in the chat soon as well, which is a Udemy course coupon code, and of course a free consultation that will be prioritized if you're trying to get into the next cycle. Like if you're trying to get to September, it's very important that we speed your process up so you get the books on time. So if you need a consultation, we'll prioritize
the
your
books,
consultation. Okay. So just before the Q&A, let me try to generate this code, and then we'll do let me find the Udemy code. Do we have the Udemy code, Williams? Can you send, or do you have it, Flavia? I don't know. If you guys have it, just send it. Yeah, maybe I think Williams
I
has
don't.
it. The Udemy course code, the free Udemy course. We generated one, I think, in a week ago. If you could put that in the Zoom session, in the chat. And I will be opening the demo so you guys see how the course looks like. I'm just showing you guys the previous structure. So once you register and we give you the login, this is the platform. Okay. So anything that says draft on it, you could just ignore that. That's just like back-end stuff. You won't see that. Okay. So here you have like the introduction and the tutorials. Here's your general guide. So you can see we even have a guide here on how you want to study the videos, how to use them, the quizzes. Here's the schedule. It's downloadable from here. You also have a live updated schedule here if you need. But the platform itself is a schedule. Like you could see here, each module when it's going to open, it's going to have a date beside it. Okay. So we could see, we also have a quiz center here that you could pick out any topic, let's say basic science, and it'll randomly select 25 questions from the basic science library, and you could just start it. Ready to start? There you go. You get 25 questions. It'll be a different 25 every time. Okay. So this is something we're testing out. So you can see here, I could get any 25 questions and just answer it and see how it goes. Okay, you have 30. This is for time management, just to test yourself out if you want. Let's look at, here's the book. These are the inside of the books as well. You have them on here. Okay, you could also click on any chapter and it just takes you there. Okay. The 4 books, also the 15 question booklets will be printed and shipped to you. Here's the answer key section. So all the questions and their answers.
You just show them my booklets.
And here's the module 1. So for example, beginning of every module, let's take this as an example. It starts off on Monday and the videos will open. This section will open right here. So it
I just wanted to show.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show the question booklets because people ask during the consults, like, do we practice with a lot of questions, or do we have mocks every week? We don't have mocks every week, but this is how many questions you're gonna solve throughout the course, right? And you're not gonna be on your own. You're gonna watch videos of, you're gonna, obviously you're supposed to answer them on your own, like before, and then you watch the videos with, us solving the questions, so you can
do your own little mini quiz mock, but
exactly. And then you can watch.
So that's
true, but it's I think it's like really important to try and solve them by yourself, and then watch the videos where we solve the questions and explain why.
So let's say the first, module opens. It's Monday. Basic science opens. So the way you'll see this is that basic science is open, but everything else is still locked. So you open basic science. You see here the introduction, the study guide. You can see here it says, before watching the videos, maybe you want to do the pre-lecture quiz. If you don't have time, you might not want to do that. We'll guide you on this. And then, for example, watch the first part of the videos. We call them day 1. This could take you either 1 day or a maximum of 2 days. Like, we give you very detailed guidance here. to the point that you're kind of like, you know, spoiled and taken care of, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, do you want to do that, or can you, or do you need more time? We
Yeah.
tell you watch these videos from 1 to 18, solve these questions, and then watch the question videos, right? And then day 2 videos, exactly which questions to solve. And then after watching the videos, what things you could do. So that's in there, right? And then we have a video time breakdown. So here, total basic science epidemiology video. People love this part. They start asking for it every week, so we did it.
They're all, yeah, they always want to know how many hours this week.
Yeah, so they want to know like next week's hours so that they could plan. So around 30 hours of video content in basic science, and it's cut down here. You can see basic science is 24 hours. Day 1 videos is 8.5. Day 2 is 9.5, and then the remaining videos are 6. And then epidemiology, it's 6.2. So, and then here there's like a video intro of how to time manage yourself in basic science if you want to, and I explain it. Then you have the before quiz that you could start and take. And then you get to the actual like basic science modules. So here's microbiology.
Cell membrane.
This is what Dr. Flavia is saying. You could put the English if you want for the
end wall. Where's the membrane? There you go.
And you have your DNA, subtitles,
the chromosomes. And then you need something to copy the proteins, which is the ribosomes.
Okay, you won't hear it.
That's the main thing. And then, of course, the jello in the...
if you want to speed it up as well, you could speed it up. Okay. Here's biology and physics. So you'll be watching these. So when it has 1.1, 1.2, it means it's day 1 videos.
In this video, we're going to go through
so
biology.
It's possible to do them in one day.
Soluble.
Right? But, you know, you could take 2 days if you need. And then you
I
have...
always took me like the full 2 days, like the max time.
So yeah, it's like part-time because you're doing part-time, right? So all the videos that start with 1, we used to teach it in 1 day. So it's possible to do it in 1 day. But if you're doing part-time, then you do it in 2 days, right? So you can see this one has more chapters. Like you can see, okay, questions from 1 to 20, 21. And you could go see the explanations of the questions.
Because there's a
right? So we explain every question
right? We said to shift
in the release. Here's when day 2 starts, right? The endocrine. Someone was asking what was the basic sign, right? So endocrine, physiology, cranial nerves, anatomy, all the anatomy, TMJ. We include occlusion. We have histology, microbiology, biology, and physiology. That's like mainly the basic science.
Welcome back, everyone.
And then
in this
all
video,
the questions
we're going to learn
that are
about
related.
occlusion.
So once, and then you have even like you see how the schedule is built in. You have the after quiz, and then you have the answer key built in, and then you have the live session itself. Like you can see the live session here scheduled. It says the day, time, and the Zoom link.
Who's going to be the instructor? Yeah.
Okay. So that is who's the instructor? Here's the link. Now, once this week is done, next week opens. Let's say Pharma 1. The first week will close. And now you have to work on pharma. So we keep you accountable per topic. You can't just start expanding on your own into something and losing the path. We coach you on the path. So pharma 1 will open, basic science will close. Now you have to do the same thing, but it's with pharma 1. Okay, so video time breakdown for pharma part 1. It's 13 hours, so you see it's less here. 7 hours, 6.2, then 6 remaining. Wait, how did that remain in videos? Okay, so I think we calculated here basically the main videos.
The main,
And then the 6 hours are just like the additional extra.
Those are the questions, right?
Yeah, but we don't have questions in Pharma 1. We'll see what's the
remaining,
here. Yeah. Okay. So day 1 is 7, and it should be this day 1 day. I think this was left here. We'll just take it out. But it's 13, day 1 and day 2. Okay. Then once this is done, same thing, live session, then module 3 will open. Again, usually the modules before will close. So some people get scared about this first. They go like, oh no, they're going to close. I want to be able, but you'll find that with this strategy, you will do the right work. You will be better. Like it's almost like having a trainer that's watching you and making sure you're doing the right stuff.
And moving forward.
Eventually, when you get to the break, so we have a break at some point here. So study week. We go here, we have a midterm test that you could test yourself, and we open the modules back up so you could go and watch something that you want to
review,
check or review or missed, right?
Missed, yeah.
Okay, we also have the audio. Where's the audio part here? So we also have an audio thing.
Pharma audio.
So pharma audio, people love this. So you could like listen to
welcome
an
back to the
audio. It's
Pharma
not
Name
the
Review
lecture
by Scholars
converted to
Dental,
audio. It's a whole new
the
thing.
fast answers
So
version.
the
Or
the
fast
audio
pharma.
is like
Let's
we
get
say
started
out the
with our
names,
first
we give you
list.
the answers of the names.
Beth-
Helping
Let me see if I
memorize,
share.
right?
Sorry.
It helps memorizing like the names, drug
Exactly.
names.
Hi everyone, welcome back. It was in the anti-arrhythmia. It worked on potassium. So there were ones that worked on calcium,
I can't
sodium,
hear it
potassium, and beta.
because,
This one
I
worked
hear
on
it.
potassium.
Oh, you hear it?
Okay.
Okay,
We
so
hear
that-
it. Yeah.
You guys hear it?
Technically,
I
it
have to use
works
the
on
other
more than
headphones for me to
potassium.
hear
It
it.
also works on sodium
Let me
and
just
other
put this
channels.
on.
But because it's the only one that worked on potassium, they put it under the
Here it is.
in its own classification that works on potassium,
Mhm.
amiodarone, anti-arrhythmia. All right, next drug.
So these audios are very cool because you could play them, put your headphones on, go for a walk. And,
Yeah.
you know, you could be like,
Or when you're
there's
cooking,
levels.
like doing something.
While you're
Yeah.
cooking, while you're, instead of like,
Yeah.
you want to review, you don't want to sit down and pay attention, read a book or watch a video. For example, this one's a little bit more difficult. I won't give you the answer. You know, you have to just kind of try to guess it yourself. The audios stay open. Once they open, the audio will stay open.
Does it
That's
remind you of anything? Try to
think some-
visualize it if you are not looking at the slide.
We have video
Ooh,
format.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tropy. It starts with tropy. Does tropy remind you of another drug?
Atropine.
Yes, you got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one is we give hints, but we don't give the answer. And then there's one, the scholar level. It's just we give you the name and you have to like know what it is, right? So, and we do similar things with patho. So pharma and patho, the memorization, heavy names kind of stuff. We'll have an audio format, which I think like a tool that we came up with, and I don't think anyone is doing something like that. So, and so you do that until the end of the course. And then at the end of the course, there's the 5 mocks that you'll have. And then after the mocks, you also have evaluation tests, which will kind of see how your studying performance was. Okay? It's important to know when how to schedule your time. So Saturdays is when we do the live sessions at 9:30 a.m. EST. Sometimes on Fridays, I do a casual session to check in, just to kind of, we announce that every week, like an open hour if you guys want to hop in. We do that on Fridays. So if you want to keep your Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays off, that's ideal. The other thing is, in the mocks, you need Saturdays and Sundays off. Okay, so during the mock month, you should be off anyway, I would recommend. But Saturdays is when you do the mock. So you have to do it on Saturday. There's a fixed time. And then Sunday, you do the mock discussion with the instructor. It's live as well. Okay. Did I miss anything? There is a discussion here. I don't think people use it much because they end up just using, like, you know, I don't know. So if you click on each video, there's a separate
WhatsApp group,
discussion for
right?
that video. You could kind of like type
Welcome
in
back,
here,
everyone.
Other people could.
In this video, we're going to be talking about the analgesics.
We can hear it.
So let's get started.
So you can
All
see what
right,
the
so we're going to
chapters-
begin. So let's look at NSAIDs now.
Okay. So that's pretty much it. Did I miss anything you think?
No,
Is there anything you want to
I
add?
think you covered pretty much everything.
There's probably little things that
no.
we've even forgot about, but there's a little like bells and whistles here.
I think this is the most important that they need, like, that's good to see about the platform. But yeah, I think you covered it.